It was November 23rd, 23rd, 2021, where her son Tripp had a non-fatal drowning accident that has essentially changed her life and her family's life and really a lot of our community's life forever. So, you don't have to get into all the dirty details, but do you want to kind of give us an idea of what happened that day?
Yeah. So like you said, it was November. So actually this November was actually cold because you never know here if it's cold or if it's not. And this particular night was cold. We were living with a good friend of mine and a coworker probably for, I think the total time we were going to be living there is probably 5 or 6 weeks as our house was being finished. The house we live in now had been being built for over a year, but
keep in mind post-COVID building.
Yes, so. COVID and all the things. So our Airbnb lease had run out, and so she was gracious enough to say, come over here for the last few weeks of this build. And the insanity of a family of 5 and 2 dogs. So it was Thanksgiving break. As a teacher, you look forward to those breaks, and it's Thanksgiving break. It was evening time. It was cold out. We were getting ready to sit on the couch and watch a Christmas movie or just be together as a family. My husband Dalen was kind of in and out doing things in the big barn they had out there where a lot of our stuff was being stored till we moved into our house. And it was just a regular night, and I remember thinking, where's Tripp? But it's a big house. They live in a big house, and Tripp was Mr. Independent and Mr. On the go all the time, and so it wasn't unusual to not have him right next to me.
And for anyone who knew Tripp prior to the accident, he was your typical third child, the wild child. He,
right.
I mean,
unlike my other two,
right.
Totally different. Like he came into our lives and we were like, what in the world? Because you parent all 3 kind of the same essentially, like they're living in the same environment, so you kind of feel like he was just hell on wheels basically.
Yes.
But so it wasn't super uncommon to not know exactly where he was at any given point because he was always somewhere doing something. I assumed he was upstairs building Legos or with his dad or whatever. And so after a couple of times of saying, where's Tripp? And no one laying eyes on him is when I went out to the barn to see if he was with Dalen. And when Dalen said no, it's like I immediately knew. And so I ran back towards the house, and as I got closer, could see him at the bottom of the pool and jumped in and pulled him out and called for Dalen. And Dalen came running around the corner. I'll never forget the sound he made when he came running around that corner and realized what had happened and immediately started CPR and called 911. And I couldn't even tell you how long it took for them to get there. It feels like forever, but I'm sure it wasn't.
To give some props to the Buda, I assume it's Buda ambulance or fire department, friends who were there and aware, they did say they made it in under 6 minutes, which is wild. I mean, luckily where the house was, there is a fire station right around the corner, but so props to them because friends did say it was definitely under 10 minutes that they made it there pretty quickly given everything. Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah. And, we didn't learn till after the fact because it was there in the bottom of the pool, but I didn't know that because that's just not what you're
focused
seeing.
on.
But
yeah.
Come to find out his Power Wheels, the little battery operated Power Wheels tractor was also in the bottom of the pool. So our best guess is he was riding that and just got too close to the edge and tipped in. Anyway, so another friend drove me to Dell. And they asked me when we got there, do you want to be in the emergency room? Because I can imagine a lot of parents do not want to witness, but I thought I have to. I have to be in there if this is going to be the end of his life. I have to be there. So just, meanwhile, like I'm dripping wet. I have on no shoes. Dalen has on no shoes. And they're trying to resuscitate him. There's this long line of doctors and nurses just all in a line because it's tiresome work, CPR. And so they're all in a line taking turns, so when one fatigues and steps down, the next one can step up. And there's a doctor in the middle of the room kind of watching this monitor, calling out orders. And there's this man next to me that I had no idea who he was, but he kept rubbing my back. Come to find out he was a chaplain. And I was just on my knees, just praying, and Dalen was right by him. Come on, Tripp, come on, just the whole time. And
if anyone listening, if you've never met or seen Dalen, Dalen is exactly who you want on your team. He is the most upbeat, positive. He can take the worst of situations and find a way to make, find the positive, find the silver lining. Glass totally full, even if it's only got a drop in it kind of guy. So, knowing him and knowing his spirit, I thank God. Yeah, thank God he's truly who was there with you. Yeah.
Oh, truly, because he was right there and in the mix of it all. And each new nurse that would step up, he would look at him and be like, come on, you got it. Come on.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, this is it? Like, there's no way. It had been so long. And I kept thinking they're going to stop at any point. And then I'll never forget this little tiny voice from this little tiny nurse. And she just said, I have a heartbeat. And so at that point, I don't even remember. I just remember him being whisked out to another room. And from then on, I don't remember much about the next
4 months
days, and what ended up being a 116-day stay at
in Dell Children's Hospital. Yeah. Well, and, we did later find out, I believe this to be true before we even actually had this confirmation, but there's no doubt about it that if Tripp has two different parents, he's not with us anymore. Because you were even told by one of the nurses when you went to check out 121 days later. Can you tell me what she said to you?
That nobody gets that many rounds of CPR.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to stop because they also don't have parents in there praying out loud and watching the CPR and cheering on the child.
Right.
So that was not the protocol, that many rounds. I think all in all, from the time I found him in the pool to the time they got a heartbeat back was 90 minutes.
Jeez, yeah.
So, praise the Lord.
I think in the ER, they ended up doing 9 or so rounds of CPR.
I couldn't even tell you.
Right.
I don't know.
I think the typical is like 3 or 4, and they call it. But like the nurse said, you're on your knees praying out loud. Dalen's in there cheering anyone and everyone on. I mean, I don't know that he would have let them stop. Honestly, they would have pulled a janitor in to be next in line if they needed to do the CPR. But again, that's one of many reasons. But I truly believe if Tripp had any two different parents, we would have lost him that day.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes to the two of you.